I can say is MI5 have a history of burgling places. See, one of the problems, I think, is that what you say is that your opinion on any issue, when responding to certain sources quickly, is you're just trying to get the truth across. And people and agencies who have different perspectives, whether it be some people in MI5 now, or MI6 over Lockerbie, they're engaging in disinformation and misinformation. And what I'm saying is, given that you've not given full disclosure about a lot of the issues that I've raised tonight, I still retain, and some of these civil liberty things, like things to do with the persecution of people who wanted to show the Maltese double cross thing, and I knew somebody who knew the people who were involved in the cinema at the time. You just say, well, I don't know anything about it. So you're working in the anti-IRA section, you don't know anything about an operation to do with the Harrods bombing. I forgot to mention this, but it came out in the public domain. 300 MI5 officers and 150 Metropolitan Police anti-terrorist officers were supposedly hanging around the streets of London waiting for Hayes and Taylor to plant devices. And you're telling me you didn't know about it. I mean, you're good, you're clever, but when facts are put forward that you can't really answer your responses, I don't really think about that at the time, when I think that you did, and I think that you should have done. And I don't think you're engaging in full disclosure.
What's your entire opinion, Larry? But I've got to say, if MI6 are putting out information that they know is wrong because they're getting official lines, they're being told evidence about Lockerbie, that is disinformation. That is an attempt to wrongly blame a foreign country. What at the time was one of the biggest terrorist attacks in history. We have to wonder why MI6 are wasting taxpayers' money and everybody's time and effort by trying to make the innocent guilty for an attack they were not involved in. The Harrods bombing was investigated by the anti-terrorist squad, as I said. I did not know anything about a prior intelligence operation into Hayes and Taylor for that attack. What I saw when I was briefed on the service told me that they were convicted on the result of anti-terrorist officers in the police studying video footage around the Harrods building. And that is how they were subsequently convicted. That is what I know. I can't tell you what I don't know, basically.
Well, the people involved in the trial know different.
Well, if people involved in the trial know different, they should bring that evidence forward. But I mean, I don't see how you can blame me for that. That's not something I'm part of. As I say in the book, I'm trying to write what I know about. Barry, why are you doing this? Why are you attacking me? I'm trying to stand up for people's civil liberties. Why don't you go talk to Amber al-Army? Why don't you go talk to the Libyans who want to get justice for the people who were killed by MI6? Why attack me?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a bit violent. Some people have been right by your activities for a long time. What I'm saying is that on the various groups and political causes that I'm interested in, I do not think that you have told anyone telling the truth. And you seem to think that other people's views that are different to yours is misinformation. I don't have any brief for the point about for the Libyans carrying out Lockerbie, but I just think the suppression of an argument that Iran might have had involvement, I think is something that suits the foreign policy interest.
We've got another question from someone from Anarchist, which is, what is the relationship between Searchlight, MI5 and Tim Heppel? Searchlight is the anti-fascist magazine that's been alleged to have links to the secret state. David, would you like to answer that one?
Well, again, that should sound like I'm covering anything up. I worked in Council Version section for a very short time. I saw Searchlight, I saw some of the allegations it made. I was not working on the desk in which I was in a position to be able to investigate any of that or look at any of it. So I'm afraid I'm not able to say one thing one way or the other. If I knew something about it, I would tell you, subject to the restraints of the Official Secrets Act. But I'm afraid I don't have any inside information.
Right, that's me go. Now, about the question of the relationship between Searchlight and MI5, there is in existence a public memo from the then editor of Searchlight, Jerry Gable, boasting about his contacts in the intelligence services. That's around the time that you were working in MI5, and indeed one of your responsibilities was not just monitoring anarchists and communists, but also the far right. There was a lot of heavy things going on around that time to do with Combat 18, the question about whether it was created by the state or taken over by the state. Searchlight originally seemed to be involved in an operation in Leeds, which was escalating conflict by stealing left-wing address books, venues back. And your response is, on that particular point, I don't really know anything about it. I wasn't working on it. It's funny, isn't it, that certain things that you... Well, I'll point out is that you half-inched 187 files from MI5 headquarters. If you can do 187, why not 287, in which case photocopies of the other relevant files. But again, you work in the relevant section, you're asking us to believe that you're telling the truth, and on fundamental issues like that, you don't know anything about it. But I'm sure if we give you a bit of time, we'll no doubt see an article in a few months where you miraculously just discovered something about it.
Well, again, what I'd say is, I've talked about what I know, people read the book, they will see that we're very careful to make people understand that the experience personally, what we didn't. My experience on the far right was what is only known as a watching brief, and that basically means that things come across your desk, you might have a look at them, but you're not responsible for carrying out any investigations and so on. So, I don't know the funny idea about how the Secret Service works, Larry, but there is a kind of principle of need to know, which means that, not everybody sees everything, unfortunately. And I would hope that we would join together with him in trying to campaign for justice for Samuel Army and Joe Botley, and we'll gather together in recommendations of the final chapter of the book, in which we recommend that MI5 and MI6 are abolished, and that they are replaced with organisations that are properly accountable to our democratically elected representatives in Parliament. That would strike me as a good way forward to show unity. I've also recommended in the book that people who were investigated by the state prior to '89 would have a very good case for saying that was an illegal interference in their privacy, because MI5 did not work within a legal framework at the time. And again, Larry, I would gladly join with you in trying to take that to court, hopefully with the backing of liberty.
Yeah, I notice you don't call for the abolition of special branch, particularly regional special branches. So the way I look at it is the people who are protesting against the G8 next month, if the people who monitor them and who lock them up, who fit them up, have to have a little card saying Scottish special branch rather than MI5, the French is very good, but who sanctions and insurance?
Well, we've got to look at everything. Wherever allegations against any body of the state who's doing anything wrong, I'm on the side of people who are protesting and trying to stand up for our rights. If we have evidence of special branch being involved in that, let's act on it.
Well,
together.
It's their own guidelines. Are you in favour of the abolition of the whole of the police, including special branch?
I think, well, that's what you're saying there. The book does talk about abolishing MI5, MI6 and special branch, replacing it with an organisation which can be, say, democratically accountable. So we are talking about exactly the same things.
Okay, so we've got another question here. It's about the US war on terror. It says that because we've heard that the DNA of the American postal anthrax attack was traced back to a US military laboratory, how far is the war on terror a smoke and mirrors exercise? So how far was that a state operation?
Well, so I've seen this as well in the media saying it has been traced back, and it is Americans' weapons-grade anthrax, and you can't go and buy that from the corner shop. So it rather suggests that the American state was involved in all of this, trying to create fear in America. I saw a brilliant series of documentaries recently called The Power of Nightmares, in which they focused on how the intelligence services, in conjunction with the media, can scare the hell out of people, so that they're prepared to accept curtailments of basic liberties, so that make themselves more secure. We should fight these arguments across the board. It's simply not true. Even if there is a threat from Islamic terrorism, it's not that great. The chances of dying in a terrorist attack for anybody are virtually nil. We don't get up in the morning and get into our cars and think we're going to die that way on the roads, and yet 10 people perhaps do every day. And yet we're always scared of dying in a terrorist attack because we see certain headlines about it in newspapers. I say to anybody, stop taking the tabloids, read up things for yourself, and I say, protest, do what you can, get out on the streets, write letters to your MPs for what it's worth, write letters to the Prime Minister. I'm very grateful if anybody could support me in trying to get Tony Blair to take my evidence of MI6's involvement in funding Al-Qaeda, because if we can have an investigation into that in future, it might discourage other MI6 officers from taking the same course of action, and may in fact save innocent lives.